So, welcome to our Sunday night live show tonight.
Hello.
And for those of you that don't know, she's Cheryl.
And he's Ken.
Not like there's much doubt. Anyway, to start with, as always, let us know where you're watching from. That's always our first question of the day is where are you watching from? And we've already got a comment, so let's pop up our comment. And so Rhonda said she heard they had shipped Cheryl a unit to try out, talking about the Zeen mobility device. And she was able to take one home with her. Well, ours we got to try. They didn't ship it. We went over to Tampa. We tried it, and we ordered one. What can I say?
It's not in stock down here right now. I have to wait about a month or two. But I'm glad you got one, Rhonda, and looking forward to hearing about it.
So, and let us know what you think of it, Rhonda.
Oh, Pam thinks that's fantastic.
Yep.
And Pam is watching us from Nova Scotia, and we are in Central Florida at our home office.
Yep, and we're warmer than Pam is. And and now Rhonda might be as warm as we are, maybe just maybe not quite as warm. We're about 80 degrees. So what's your temperature, Rhonda? So Pam's working. Well, you could just stay overtime, Pam, and tell them you need to stay overtime to watch the rest of the show. I don't see a problem with that. Anyway, as always, if you have comments or suggestions, please go ahead and put them in the comments. But let's talk a little bit about our Zeen mobility device. Cheryl's working on the.
Yes, Ken is Joker. Oh, hello, Kelly. Hi from Boston.
Nice to have you. 70. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've had it close to 80s lately. We're supposed to cool off for a few days this week. Oh, no overtime. Yeah, nobody likes overtime. Businesses don't like overtime.
But so we'll start by talking about the Zeen mobility device. As we mentioned earlier, Rhonda was at the show in California, the Abilities Expo, and she managed to get one out of their hands. I'm not sure how she did that, but she did. We have one on order, probably a couple of weeks. When we get it, we'll do some video about it. But it is really, I was pretty impressed. What did you think, Cheryl? You're the one.
I like it. It took me some getting used to because I'm so used to leaning so forward on my other walker. And it took a little bit for me to figure out how to make the seat go up and down. I'll probably have to practice with that. It's easy once you get the hang of it, I'm sure. I think that it will help me stand up straighter. And I like that it turns very easily. And I like the way, it slides very well. We were trying it outside on concrete, and just a tap of your foot and you can go about 20 feet. And I'm sure at the airport, you can just zip right along. I think if you're pushing somebody in that, because you can push it like a wheelchair too, you'd have no trouble really zipping right on through the airport. I don't think you get tired pushing it for a long distance. It just glides so easily. I was amazed. And so that's the other thing. My walkers I don't usually have brakes on my walkers. I usually buy used ones. They don't have the brakes anymore. And I haven't needed them because I was slow and they don't move that fast. And the Zeen just really moves. And so I'll have to get used to like holding on to those brakes.
Well, especially if you're going downhill, you might need your brakes.
Yeah, or if I'm on tile, I'm very leery of walking on tile. I mean, really smooth, hard, like granites and marbles. I think it'd be like slipping on glass with that thing, which is great. I mean, as far as energy level, you don't need any. But I need to practice balancing.
Yeah, but I think once we get it in a few days of using it, and we'll be able to go out and walk around the park together, which are the mobile home park we live in, which will be really cool. We got some comments here.
Oh yeah, and we did get a little video of me trying out the Zeen, but then we went out of town with our granddaughter. Great vacation, so we have not processed it yet, but we want to.
Yeah, I would say this is probably our most vacation trip we've had in a long time. I did very little work.
Thank you very much, Rhonda.
But we had a really good time with our granddaughter. It was a lot of fun. Like so, we're looking forward to the Zeen coming in. We'll talk a little bit about our cruise on the Divina because there, yeah.
So those comments are so true. Carpet always slows down mobility devices.
The Divina, it was a mixed bag for us, I guess. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Cheryl. If you can hear us, hit the like button. Not only just hit the like button a bunch of times, one way or the other, because it makes YouTube and it makes Facebook think, oh, this is pretty good stuff. We should tell other people about it, and they share it. But like I said, the Divina I thought was a mixed bag from an accessibility standpoint, other than our cabin. And we'll talk about the cabin in a minute, but because it wasn't designed for scooters. But the ship itself, I thought from accessibility standpoint was pretty good, didn't you?
Oh, it was nice. Yeah, I didn't have any trouble with it. I think there was a few heavy doors, as always, especially going in and out of different sections, like out to the deck. They didn't have push buttons or hand wavers opening the door. But other than that, and usually right there, if you're right at the Lido deck, you're going to find a million people going in and out. I found, somebody let me in and out when I needed it. Other than the doors being heavy, it was fine. The restrooms were very adequate. The handicap restrooms were very good. So as far as accessibility, yeah, I didn't have any trouble with the restaurants. I took my scooter up pretty close to the table usually, and they had other tables that were closer. They just had assigned us one against a wall. But
yeah, it was interesting because the servers were very reluctant to want to try to move Cheryl's scooter. Because sometimes we would put it in neutral and they just push it, or sometimes I'd put it down, power down so they couldn't. I'd show them, and they were extremely ginger with it. And then sometimes I just put it up because it was quicker and easier.
Yeah, I found that I think some of them, that one's pretty nifty. They all like the way the wheels move. They think it's fascinating on the wheel seat too, but they're afraid to drive. They're afraid they're going to run over somebody or something, and so they're real cautious with it. But that's good. That's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the food, we enjoyed all the food. We always felt we actually just ate in the main dining room this time. So that's maybe a little bit less excitement about the food. We really love specialty restaurants, but we didn't try them this time. And there was one feature I really liked. It's kind of a little secret feature about the Divina that I found after the first few days. If you go up to the 16th floor to the there's a restaurant, the sushi restaurant.
Yeah, sushi
restaurant, and a little lounge is up there. Now, if you go through the lounge, you come to the library / convention center room, like a little
classroom.
Classroom. And you can't mistake it because each chair has a little desktop that can flip up to write on and everything. And there's the TV and all that's in there. But if you go through that close to the stage in that room, there's a little glass door. You go through that glass door out quite a bit down along the side of the ship, and it looks
past
like
the basketball court.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to be like just basketball court and you can't go any farther. But if you keep going, you go past the basketball court, and there is a little private hot tub there, and there's about 10 chairs is all that's there around that. And then if you even go farther around, there's another one on the other side that the access door to that is through the restaurant, and it's pretty much closed all the time. So these are like two little secret places you can go up there and be alone and have some sun and a little peace and quiet.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool about it. And I would say that I'm going to fudge on that food assessment a little bit. The first night I had prime rib that was as good as I've ever had. And then the rest of the time I thought it was mostly just okay food. Their food is still not my favorite in the main dining room. I have other lines I like their main dining room food better. The thing that was worse for us though was the boarding process was just chaos. And there were several factors. First of all, the ship had come in from Colombia, which automatically draws a lot of attention from the Border Patrol and the customs people. So as a result of that, what happened was it was very late when we started. We didn't get into the building till after 1 o'clock. Well, we were in a line, and there were people that were part of a big group that just kept jumping in the middle of that line in front of everybody else, which was source of great frustration to me. Um, Kind of thing that just it really is a source of aggravation. But the result is we in an hour we didn't move 50 feet, and most of that was just the line kept compressing, everybody getting closer and closer, trying hoping we're going to get in. We were supposed to have priority boarding because we were in a suite, and yeah, well, you don't get in the. There's no priority to get in the building anyway. So I thought that their boarding process. In fact, I put out a tweet about it. It was probably the worst that I've ever seen. Uh, we've been in Barbados. I wasn't a fan of the boarding process there, just because it was a long walk from the where you first check in till you get out to where you really check in. So that I thought was a little bit of a problem.
It was a really, really long line, and it didn't move for the longest time. And like I said, that as Ken said, this group of about maybe 40, 50 people, they were like 5 of them were in the line ahead of us. But then when they moved through the queue back and forth, and they got really close to the door and also close to the edge of the sidewalk, they just lifted it up and just let, like, every minute, they let like 2 members in, 2 members, 2 members, 2 members. They look around and let 2 more members. And so like 20, 30 people got ahead of us. But what I really felt sorry for, we happened to be close enough to be in the shade. But I felt sorry for those who farther back had small children or older ones standing there in the sun. That was a really rude thing to do. They were all young people, healthy. I was, they were adults. I just didn't, I was not happy about that group.
Yeah, I would say the other piece of that was that they, there was no water. We finally, Cheryl needed to go use the restroom. We had to get out of line and go in. And once we were inside, they just let us get in and go in through screening. But then we got in, and it was another long wait. We weren't on the ship until after 2:00, which is very unusual. It's the first time we've ever been that late. Normally we're on well before lunch. We were still fairly early in the process, and we were able to get in and get in a seat in the buffet. Later, that really packed out. The only thing that was open to eat was the buffet on board.
I have to say that for the buffet for the first day, it wasn't that crowded. And with my scooter, I got around just fine. And throughout the trip, Ken didn't notice. He didn't always eat like snacks and things with me. But if I went upstairs, I almost always had a staff member that would ask me if I needed help. And even when Ken was there one time, they carried my plate. And so I think they were actually quite attentive to the needs. There wasn't a lot of scooters, and that might have made a big difference. But the width for the buffet area where you walk through is wide enough for a scooter to manage. It could always be better. But yeah. I guess the only one I've ever seen that was the best was Celebrity Summit. But other than that, this was better than some I've seen. I think Prima was the worst at the buffet for a scooter. But the other thing I like about MSC is I love their tomato sauce. And that's something I just really love. And they make a great tomato sauce. My granddaughter really liked it too. They use the San Marzano tomatoes, which make just a great sauce.
Yeah, and their pizza was pretty good, except it had a little more crust than I like. I like my toppings to get up close to the edge, not over it, but at least close. And, they got sometimes a 3-inch wide strip of crust. I'm not that much fond of bread, but we will share with you something that we really liked. So you want to hit that. So what you're seeing here is the lighthouse at Ocean Cay in the daytime, and a view from a slightly different angle at night. Go ahead and hit
the first view here on the left is as you're coming into it or leaving the port.
Hit the play button.
And then here's the light show a little bit.
I've got it muted. There is music, but so that is what this is from our balcony. Now, as I mentioned, we did not have an accessible room, but we had the starboard forward corner balcony suite, and it was great. It was perfect for having our granddaughter because the bedroom and the living room, there was a door between them, and so it just worked out really well for us, as far as logistically. And then from the view of this lighthouse show, There was music playing, but it was also windy, so the mic picked up a lot of wind. But anyway, it was really nice. And again, you get an idea of the beaches. We spent the night again, which we really loved. The first day, my granddaughter and let me see the mouse for a minute.
Oh, you want to say it more? Okay, I didn't know what you're talking about.
My granddaughter and I got a kayak right about there, and we kayaked all the way around here down to about here. Then we kayaked back up to about here, and by then I was done. So we pulled ashore, and they had a guy with a ski-doo come and pick up, or not a ski-doo, but a sea-doo, picked up the kayak and took it back, and we just walked across, took them the oars back, and checked stuff in. But we had a lot of fun in the water. The picture you see there is exactly how clear the water is when we're there.
Yeah, that was Ken's camera took that one. And then I just wanted to say this is the bar at the lighthouse, and the lighthouse looks like it's solid, but you can see from the movie that it's actually just a frame that's painted the red and the white, and then when the lights come on, this is what you see. It's really nice. And let's see. Oh, yeah, it's a cool show. The show is at 9 and then again at 10. You don't want to miss it. You don't want to be late because they only run about maybe 6 minutes at the most or so. And but it's a lot of fun. I missed the second one because I didn't realize it wasn't going to be the same. But
yeah,
Ken's got a video of it. So
yeah, they're two different shows. Now it's a little bit hard to do the video, just because the contrast between the dark and the light is so much different. The cameras had trouble,
especially close up. I think if we were farther out, maybe the brightness would have been better. And you miss a lot. They had a lot of other lights, laser lights coming out from the bottom and the top, and it's hard to see that with this part being so bright. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. The second day, my granddaughter and I were scheduled to go snorkeling, and we had just enough wind that we couldn't. They canceled the snorkeling. They canceled
about everything.
The jet ski tour because the waves were up quite a bit. And now this little area to the right of the lighthouse didn't really have any waves. And then show them where the lagoon is in the picture.
Yeah, this is the I thought I was showing it.
It is.
Okay. No, here's what we're looking at.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. Yeah, this part here has like a net here, and then you can. A lot of people were swimming and playing in the water here, but for me, with the waves were a little bit too strong for me. Not for the average person, of course. It wasn't big waves. It's just I just can't take it. But the lagoon is back in here, on just inside of this beach back here at the back, and that had absolutely no waves. It was just smooth and. The water was just a little cool, but it was fine. I laid in the sun floating out there for quite a while, and I really enjoyed it. And they have little diving boards out there if you have young ones with you that can really swim. They have some diving
like
raft
platforms. Yeah.
And you can go out there and jump off and swim out there, and can swim back there and back once. And anyway, it's nice. It's beautiful, beautiful beaches. Nice, accessible. This is a rough side. Way past out here is a rougher side, but this part here is very nice, and this part is incredibly smooth in the middle.
And it was funny because when we left, the water was breaking all the way up to the wood area by the bar, and I don't know what was causing it because it wasn't storming where we were, but there were some really big breakers coming in. I'm thinking it was a storm pushed off the east coast and then went north maybe, but we had and the ship was moving quite a bit during the night. We felt it, but didn't bother us. It was fine. Okay, so I did want to talk now about actually, let me get you to check your subscribe button. If it's red, please click it. You want to click the little bell if it's not already clicked, that notifies you when I put up new video. We're putting up content pretty often now, so you want to check that. I'll have some new stuff up probably tonight. I'm trying to get a short up every day. And then I'm working on Martinique's, the videos from Martinique. So those will be starting to go up this week. We've got some more from the Icy Strait Point should come out this week. Hopefully we have the zip line video. And let's go ahead and talk about the new series. As I mentioned last or 2 weeks ago, we're going to start a new series. It starts not this week on Wednesday, but next week on Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern time, which makes it 5 on the West Coast. We're going to start doing a series, working our way up to eventually to Fairbanks in Alaska. And we're going to do one part of that each week. It'll goes into May. We'll be doing that series in addition to the live show. And this will be live. We'll have live guests, so you'll be able to ask questions. We'll start with the Rocky Mountaineer on a week from Wednesday, and we'll look at the 3 routes they have from Calgary. There's one that's pretty direct. It goes Calgary to Kamloops, or actually Banff to Kamloops to Vancouver. But there's 2 other routes that are different, and they take a little bit longer, but everybody winds up in Vancouver. And then we'll talk about Vancouver. Then toward the end of the month, Princess Cruise Lines is going to be on to talk about the things they do in Alaska that are different than other people do. My favorite is they bring the sled dog puppies on board and you get to pet them. I'm a dog lover, and so you get to play with the puppies. They do local seafood that is sourced in Alaska. For those of you that have ever eaten fresh ocean run salmon, you understand the difference between that and what you get in the grocery store. So there we're going to talk about that. They'll talk about the naturalist. They bring somebody on that runs the Iditarod with the puppies to talk about what it's like to race in the Iditarod and some of these other endurance sled races. So they do some things that are really special. So we're going to talk about that with them, and then we'll we'll do Ketchikan, then Skagway, Ketchikan, Juneau, Skagway, and then we'll go to Whittier. And then on Whittier, we'll talk with Princess again and talk about the train trip that goes from Whittier, eventually winding up in Fairbanks. And we'll explore the options along there because there are a couple of 3 different lodges that you can choose to stay at. There's 2 that are pretty close to Denali. One I think is in Talkeetna, and then I think there's a Princess Lodge actually in Fairbanks. And then when we get to Fairbanks, we'll talk. I'm working now trying to get rangers from Skagway and from Denali that hopefully they'll be able to be on the show and answer questions. When we get to Fairbanks, there's a company that I've interviewed before that does they have a riverboat. It's called Riverboat Discovery. And so it's fully accessible. And the nice thing is everything we're going to talk about on this trip is accessible. Let me phrase it. The trip in itself is going to be completely accessible. There will be excursions we talk about that may not be accessible because most people when they're traveling with family members. So we will talk about some of the other things to do, but we'll try to make sure that we cover the accessibility piece. And then, like I said, the steamboat is there, and that family has been running steamboats. It's not on the Yukon, but it's a tributary off of the Yukon since back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. Basically almost to the time of the gold rush. And they also have a train that takes you through some exhibits. It's an old narrow gauge train that takes you through some of the exhibits of like mining camps and stuff. And when you get off at the end, there is a place that you can pan for gold. And all of that is accessible. Now, to be able to access this and join in, there is a link in the description on Facebook and on YouTube so that you can sign up. You have to register for this. It's not open to the general public. And since it's mine, I'm opening it to my followers. But in general, it's kind of designed for travel agents. And there'll be a lot of travel agents on so that they can learn more about Alaska. And it'll be something they'll use for their clients as well.
Rhonda, I'll get back to your question in a minute. I want to bring out, and Pam says, is saving her money now for Alaska. And that's what we're encouraging everybody to do. We've been talking about Alaska with our friends and on the channel for a long time, and we'd really like to have a nice group go and have a really good, enjoyable time. Not all of my friends are handicapped, so don't worry. We won't be taking all the handicap cabins, and so we hope to put a nice group together. And I'd like to meet those of you that are on our show, watch our show every week. That would mean a lot to me.
Yeah, and like I said, this is going to be. It'll be one of those things that you can buy just a segment of it. You don't have to commit to the whole process. Now, I would encourage you to commit to the whole process, because this will be, I'm titling it the ultimate rail and sail, because I don't think anything can compare to the train ride through Canada. And we'll also take the train in Skagway, which goes over White's Pass, and we'll take the train from Whittier out to Fairbanks. But you can do just the cruise only portion. You can choose any one of the three legs from Banff. So you can just pick which way you want to go. And then, like I said, if you want, you can do the trip from, up to Fairbanks. But that's our goal, is to go do all of that.
Yeah, if you just want to touch on Alaska and see just a couple ports and see if you really want to go back or not, then the cruise would be a great option. You get to see several different ports, do some things without spending a fortune, and then knowing what you really want to go back and do. That's another option if it's your first time. Oh, you want it all, Pam? Me too. I want it all, because we've done Alaska 3 times now, never been up to Denali. I really want to see that. I really do.
Yeah.
And then if we're finished talking about Alaska for a moment.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, you can say that the steamboat's a dream boat.
Oh. And then Rhonda asked about MSC, I think it was. How did the cost compare to other lines? And MSC is extremely affordable. I'll put it that way. It is very affordable. It's and I would say, like Ken said, the food is average. I would say that the shows are average, but the great thing about that is that you're paying less than an average price. I mean, it's really a bargain. The shows are still a lot of fun. They had a show about the music band ABBA. My granddaughter said she just loved them, so she loved that show. And they have acrobatics in the shows. And one thing about MSC, they also have their vocalists are fantastic. So they don't have a live band with the show, which is something like Celebrity still does, and some of the others still do, but a lot of the cruise ships have stopped doing that anyway. So, if you're looking for a place to start with a cruise and something affordable and see if you even like cruising, I would kind of recommend MSC as a budget minded trip that's still very enjoyable. And if you wanted to splurge a little bit, you could, go to one of the specialty restaurants. The steak house on MSC is very expensive, though. We've never tried it yet.
Yeah, the pricing's gotten better than it used to be, but we still we didn't. And now I would say this about MSC: if you like beach, if you're a beach person, being able to go to the private island, most of the time you can get there because you dock rather than tender, which makes a huge difference. As we talked a couple of weeks ago, we couldn't get off of Holland America to get to Carnivals because the weather was too rough. So that's one of the things I like about this. They also have beach wheelchairs pretty much scattered all over. Usually they have 4 or 5 right as you come off the ship. So if you want to just get in, transfer it to the beach wheelchair, and then you can take that and go all over the island with it.
And also and they have the food on the island for lunch. They have, now the first day we got there after lunch, but the second day lunch was on the island. The buffet opens at 12. It's a nice sized buffet. It's really good food. It's more than the food trucks have, but the food trucks are close and easy to get to, scattered about throughout the island.
Yeah, and food trucks have, hamburgers, hot dogs, coleslaw. No, it was macaroni salad.
Pasta salad.
Yeah, pasta salad and French fries. Yeah. But again, it was, it makes it nice and easy when it's, 150 feet from where you're sitting.
I'm not sure what their single rates are on MSC. Almost all cruise ships have some single rooms. I honestly don't know about theirs. I haven't.
But we can find out.
But yes, even if you had to, it's. I think that it would still be affordable. But we'll find out for next week, and we'll let you know.
But yeah, so we've, it's been an interesting couple of weeks. Like I said, for us, we don't get our granddaughter very often, so having her on with us for the 4 nights and 5 days we had her was a real blast. We had a great time. Yeah, she's 16 now, and so as they start to get to that age, grandma and grandpa aren't quite as important as we used to be, and their lives are much fuller than they used to be. So, but it was it was an amazing time.
Oh, and then the other thing we did at MSC, we went to Nassau, and Ken and I have taken some taxi tours on Nassau. This time he stayed on the ship, and my granddaughter and I went along with the Diamonds International shopping tour. So it's just they give you little stickers, and they tell you where to get all the little freebie bracelets and charms that are out there, and they lead you out there to the first store, and then they'll tell you where the others are, and it's all within 2 blocks of the ship. There's nothing to we've always felt safe there, but my granddaughter and I went, and we had some fun shopping around, getting a few little gifts, and
went to the straw market.
Went to the straw market, and the straw market was accessible. It was challenging, accessible, I guess you say, because there is crowded in some places. And but the only time I really had trouble in there was if another wheelchair came at me from the opposite direction, or if the strollers. There was quite a few strollers that were out, and that made it a little more crowded. So if I saw them coming, I'd just pull over to the side. They did the same. We worked it out. It was okay. It was fun. And they have, the one thing about Nassau is the curbs right there downtown. The curbs at the corners, you can go up and down with the wheelchair. They have the smooth corners. But there's one place that it was a good thing I looked, because I was kind of shooting pretty fast along the right edge of the sidewalk, the inner edge. And then someone was standing right there, so I had to stop and slow and look. And it's a good thing I did, because right there it dropped off like a foot, but at the left side, at the very corner, it was cut out. So just go slow, and you'll do fine down there. And they're building a whole new shopping area right inside the port that's going to open soon, I believe. It looks like it's just about ready.
Yeah, they've been working really hard on it for the since the pandemic, just completely remodeling it. The one thing that they don't have there right now, I'm kind of interested to see if they have it again in the future, is they used to have horse and buggy rides, and those are gone now. So I don't know whether the horses got retired or if they're just they'll be back, once there's a place to put them right now. But it's not there right now, because that was the one thing I haven't done in Nassau that I thought it'd be fun to do and do a video about. Anyway, we appreciate everybody again, as always, for watching. You guys are a great crowd. We love spending our Sunday evenings telling you a little bit about what's going on and hearing about what's going on. We are envious, Rhonda, that you got your zine before we got our zine. Something's just wrong there. I'm going to tell Garrett what I think about that. But anyway, we are, like I said, it's always fun talking to you guys.
Wednesday.
A week from Wednesday.
A week from now.
Yeah, so we'll have another show next Sunday. I'm hoping for a special guest. I've got somebody I just got to get confirmed that he's going to be able to be there. But we found a company that we'll do some work with that will guarantee that if you reserve an accessible room, that you've got it, and they do quite a bit more verification. We probably will start doing some verification videos and collect information for them. Okay. We'll say goodbye to everybody. We'll see everybody next Sunday.
Bye.
Have a good week.